Hello. Now we are going to look at dividing integers. And these dividing integer rules are exactly the same as the rules we looked at for multiplying integers. So we're going to be able to move through them with a fair degree of confidence. So I have them written here as multiply, and that's how you can write them up in your copy. And you can just remember, your first number is going to be your numerator, your number on top, and your second number is going to be your denominator, your number on the bottom. You may write them out as separate rules if you prefer. And just the version of our scaling rule for multiply when we're talking about dividing is dividing by a number shrinks or scales the number back toward the origin. So with multiply, we got stretched out further away from the origin and we scaled out by a positive factor, and then we are going to shrink back towards the origin when we divide. So let's put this into practice with our division rule. We know if we're dividing by a minus number, we're going to rotate by 180 degrees, exactly the same as multiplication. And again, we always write these rules up in our copy whenever we're doing multiply or divide by integers. So we have a positive number divided by a positive number. I know that this should give me a positive number, but let's look at what happens. I start at 12 and I divide by 3. So the way we're used to thinking about this is that how many 3's would go into 12 and there'd be 4 of them. But here we might think about it differently in terms of our scaling. We could say that we are going to be a third as far away from the origin. So far the beginning, we are 12 units away from the origin. And if we're a third as far away, we would break our 12 up into 3 pieces. That, and we'd be a third as far away. So we would end up down at 4. So our number business tells us that we'd end up down at 4, and then we haven't got any rotation to do, so it's fine. We are definitely at plus 4. Now let's have a look at our 16 divided by minus 2. So we're going to start at 16 and we're going to divide by 2. So we'll deal with the numbers first, just like we would have with our multiply. All the way up to 16, and we're dividing by 2. So we're breaking it up into 2 equal pieces. So we're breaking down to 8. So we're at 8, but we divided by minus 2. So we now have to deal with our rotation. So we were at 8, and we rotate around by 180 degrees, and we end up down at minus 8. And we can see here a positive divided by a negative plus divided by minus gives me minus. Now I have minus 15 divided by 3. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to start off minus 15 units away from our origin, from 0. And we're going to break that up into 3 pieces. 3 equal pieces, and we're on a third. We've gone 1/3 of the way. We've shrunk it down to a third of what it was, so we're back at minus 5, and we've divided by a positive number, so there's no rotation that we have to do. We divided by a positive number, we only have to rotate when we have a negative, so we have gone down to minus 5. Again, we can see minus divided by plus gives me minus, and that's what I've got. Now I have minus 8 divided by minus 4. So what's going to happen here? Well, I start at minus 8, and I'm going to break that up into 4 equal pieces. And I've gone back to a quarter of the distance that I was away from the origin, so I'm at minus 2. So dealing with the number part first, I'm at minus 2. And then I've divided by minus 4. So this is dividing by a minus. I have to rotate through 180 degrees, and I end up at plus 2. So I rotate through 180 degrees, and I end up at plus 2. I see my rule, minus divided by minus gives me plus, and I can see that that's what I get. So here I have some multiply I have to do, and then I can do divide. So we're getting a little bit into BIMDAS at this point. And I have minus 3 multiplied by minus 4. Well, I start at minus 3. I have to simplify the top of my fraction first before I can do my division. I know that I can think of there being hidden brackets around the top and bottom of my fractions that I need to simplify first. So I start with my brackets in minus 3 multiplied by minus 4. Well, I deal with my numbers first. So minus 3 multiplied by 4 is going to bring me 4 times as far away from the origin. So I end up all the way down at minus 12. And then I multiplied by minus 4. So I need to rotate around all the way around to plus 12. So that becomes 12 divided by 6. So now I'm doing a different color. And now at 12, and I've divided that into 6 equal pieces. One, two, three, four, five, 6. So I've divided that into 6 equal pieces. So I'm a sixth of the way from the origin that I was. I started at 12 and I'm a sixth of the way away. So I'm down at 2, and I've divided by a plus 6. So I don't need to do any rotation. So I am just at plus 2. And then finally, we have minus multiplied by minus 18 divided by minus 3. So loads of minuses going on here. So I need to simplify my top line first. I know that my fractions have secret brackets around them. So I need to simplify my top line first. So I have minus multiplied by minus 18. Well, I'm all the way down at minus 18. And I multiply by a minus. That tells me either I am going to rotate around by 180 degrees. I'm going to end up all the way up at plus 18. So I end up all the way up at plus 18 divided by minus 3. Well, now I've got 18 divided by minus 3. I need to break my 18 up into 3 equal pieces. And I've gone a third of the way of what I was. So I'm only a third of the way from the origin that I was when I was at 18. So I end up down at 6. So that's my number part taken care of. But what happens to my sign? Well, I've divided by a minus, so I have to rotate. So I end up rotating around again by 180 degrees, and I end up down at minus 6. And that is how we do our division of integers, and we also have some multiplication practice too.